Welcome back to Education Matters. Did you correctly answer true? According to the National Summer Learning Association, summer learning loss is real, and it's even more pronounced in low-income students who often have fewer educational opportunities available over the summer months. Our next two guests are a parent and a student who will help us continue to talk about school calendar, which of course ties into things like educational opportunities and out-of-school time. We welcome Sarah Martin. Sarah is a Wake County parent. I know you've got, I think you've still got one child in school
Right.
and one in college.
That's right.
And then Julia Lovingood. Julia is a senior at Orange High School in Hillsborough, part of the Orange County school system. So thanks for both of you for being here. Okay, Sarah, I'm going to start with you first. You've lived through it as a parent. Plus, I know you've gotten involved in this. I mean, you've helped out and done some work,
Right.
sort of volunteering and looking at the issues of school calendar. I guess, what are your biggest, sort of what got you involved in thinking that we need to be more flexible about calendar? So what was the driving issue for you?
Well, probably the biggest thing was several years ago I served on the calendar committee for the Wake County Public School System. And once you start to look at setting those calendar days and putting in all the required holidays and whatnot, there's really not many days left for teacher work days or makeup days and that sort of thing. So that sparked it. But as my children got older and into the high school years in particular, I got very concerned about exam schedules, the first semester exams happening after the winter break. When they are on a block schedule, that can be kind of difficult. Students can lose momentum by going through that first semester and then needing to take that winter break, coming back for just a short little snippet of class before they have those final exams. And on the block schedule again, I mean, that's the year-end exam that the student is taking. So they might be taking North Carolina final exams, state-based final exams, or just normal final exams for their classes. Additionally, as they got older, we looked at the AP exam schedule. I have a son, as you said, that's in high school this year. He's got 2 AP exams on May the 1st this year. And for one of his classes, he had that class during the first semester. He was able to have the entire first semester to cover the material for the class. For the other one, he's having it second semester, only 3 months to cover all the material for the AP chemistry exam.
Wow. So, and Julia, you and I were, right before we started, you were talking about AP exams. I've got a daughter who's, I guess she's a year younger than you, but she went through the same thing where you've got this shortened time for some classes, plus you actually kind of have the AP exam a few weeks before school's over.
Yeah, and so like, I know for me, I'm in several AP classes, and the ones that I'm taking this semester, after, like, the purpose of AP is to prepare for the exam, and then after you take the exam, I still have to go to school until like the beginning of June, and so there's not much to do at school.
Right. No, I understand that, and also, it's interesting. I think a lot of parents. I mean, I know I saw the same thing. Always was curious about this whole taking a holiday break in late December, then coming back, and then it being like a week, and then you've got final exams from the things that you studied back in November. And I don't think parents can really understand that all those decisions really are driven by the state law. I mean, it really comes out of the legislature. It's really not something that the district has a lot of control over. So, I mean, you've been through this. You've gone through that same thing, I guess, just recently with finals.
Yeah. So our holiday break this year was much shorter, and so over that break, some teachers assigned a pretty significant amount of work, and so I had to kind of limit myself from my break time and had to do that work. And even though, like, some years, even though I get a lot of work, I come back from those breaks and I'm just like, how do I remember everything before I have the exams? It's kind of difficult.
Right. Well, Sarah, you mentioned about when you start actually trying to map out the calendar, it does give you a real perspective, and there isn't a lot of flexibility. Because you think we've had just a couple of snow days here in Wake County earlier this year, but immediately they had to schedule Saturday classes, probably like some of the year-round classes. Teacher work days were, and again, same thing. When you've got a certain number of hours, you have to go and you have to finish by a certain date. And then you've got holidays. You obviously can't have them on certain holidays. So, I mean, is the solution just to give them more flexibility to do it?
Well, I think it is. And the interesting thing, I think, I've worked with parents in schools across the state through some work with the North Carolina PTA. So I see that the challenges are different in different parts of the state. I don't necessarily think that every school system will jump to the exact same conclusion, but having the flexibility to decide what's best for the local students there in their districts, I think can make a real difference.
Right. Now, what about the issue of summer, the summer break itself? I mean, that's where the sort of the travel and tourism comes in. I mean, some parents are pretty protective of that, but a lot of kids don't have something to do in the summertime, right? They don't have that, and we see that summer, what they call the summer learning loss.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting how folks will talk about summer learning loss, or they'll talk about the need for the vacations to set up with the, a traditional schedule that we've been used to. But now that my daughter's in college, I have kind of a different perspective on it because she starts back earlier anyway. Right. And so I actually love the college schedule. Being able to start a little earlier, finishing up everything for that first semester before she came home for the winter break was a wonderful thing. It was a fresh start when she went back in January. And then she gets out pretty early for the summer break. So if you looked at it from a transition standpoint, at some point, assuming the child's going to go on to college anyway, at some point they're going to be on a different calendar than what's being forced by the North Carolina legislature currently. Right.
Well, just last comment from you, Julia. So you'd like to see some changes, a little more flexibility?
Yeah, definitely. It's just like weird because next year I'll go off to college and I'll have a completely different schedule I'll have to adapt to. So I think it'd be nice to do the same thing in high school that you do in college.
Very good. Well, look, thank you both for being here and for being involved with our public schools. We appreciate it. And after this break, we're going to have our leadership spotlight.